Hey guys, welcome back to my next book preview video. This week we have got one that I am super excited about. I know I say that a lot, but trust me, this is one that I am really hyped for. Let me see if I can get this open on camera. Okay, so this just arrived in the post now. So yeah, I need to unseal this as well. Give me a second for that. And we also got this workbook with it. We'll take a look at this at the end. I have seen previews of it and it is really cool. So yeah, we'll come back to that at the end. But first of all, let's take a look at the actual book. So there is the cover, and look how thick this book is. It's absolutely massive. Now, the first thing you're going to notice, of course, is that this book is in Chinese. I don't actually know what this is, by the way. So obviously, I can't translate this. I don't speak Chinese. So a lot of it, I'm not going to be able to say on camera what it actually says or anything. And this is my first time looking at it, aside from, some previews online. So we've got the two artists, or the artist and the author. Yeah, let's get into it. So I want to start by saying as well that this book was actually, one of you guys recommended this book to me, or rather sent me a video of it to ask me what I think to it. I normally pause on the contents, by the way, or try to, translate it or something, but I think looking at this, we might be here for a while if I was trying to do a translation of this contents, just due to the sheer size of it. But look how cool the illustrations are already. But yeah, one of you guys commented on possibly the Tom Fox Draws book, or one of the other anatomy drawing videos that I've got on one of the books there, to say that you'd found an anatomy book. Apologies, I can't remember the user's name, and what did I think to it. Now, I own quite a lot of anatomy books, so I wasn't really that excited initially, a little bit hesitant, but I clicked on it, I watched the video. This is one that I had never seen, never heard of. Obviously, being in the UK, these artists are not as familiar to me. And I clicked on it, and just watching the preview, I was absolutely blown away by it. And I was like, yeah, I need this book. So I just ordered it straight away. Well, after a long time of actually searching for it online. You can already see the exercises in this book, the examples in this book are just, they're brilliant. Any of you guys that have studied fundamentals, regardless of whether it's from books, courses, etc., you'll recognize a lot of the exercises of 3D models and trying to rotate the boxes in space that we saw at the beginning. I think throughout it tries to sort of fit objects into boxes, give you an exercise like that. Some really well-known and really effective exercises. Now, I'm calling this an anatomy book, and the title that I've come across for it is Animation Human Body. Or that's sort of how it translates. Some places actually have it listed as Animation, Human Body, Structure, Expression, Technique, Training Book, Game Animation, Hand Drawing, Basic Tutorial Book. Okay, so quite a mouthful. Again, obviously it's going to get a little bit iffy because of the translation, but if you want to search for it, that is what I found it for, which I'll talk about in a second. I will put links to where I got it from below though, if you guys want to save some time, but I'll talk about that in a second. So yeah, I didn't even know initially whether this would be classed as a anatomy book. I mean, it definitely is. You can see that's the basis of it, especially working with 3D shapes. You're going to develop a much better understanding of anatomy and how to draw, how to turn things in space, things like that. I am skipping a few pages at a time, by the way, sometimes even more than that because, again, it's such a big book. But I would say it's not just covering anatomy, this one. It is a little bit stylized, as you can see here. It has got that sort of Eastern stylization of manga or anime, whatever you want to call it. But overall, it seems like, from what I've seen, it seems like it's really good for fundamentals. And I just feel like, any artist is going to benefit from this. I've talked a bit recently about, translating these things. And, it is a huge shame that it's not in English. For those of us that only speak English. Sorry, just to interrupt myself again, here's another example of that exercise with a box, putting different shapes in it. Andrew Loomis method head construction, and again, turning that perspective. If you just sort of studied this book front to back, I mean, it would take you a while, and maybe there's a lifetime of work here, but if you just studied all the information in this book, I have no doubt you would become an incredible artist. And you can see here what I was sort of saying earlier about it may be an anatomy book, but it also concentrates on so much more than that, I guess. The fundamentals, it looks like there's maybe some colour theory. I don't even know. I'm like completely overwhelmed by how much is in this book. I'm so excited for it, in case you can't tell. Especially the stylization aspect of it. Even this, I'm at a point where, I've always studied realism, and obviously that's how all of us start. That's how we should start. But I don't know how to go from realism to exaggerating styles and things like that. I think the kind of art I have been doing is very boring. I want to do things that are more fun. Things like this, I think, just look incredible. Even skipping pages and pages at a time, I'm only up to page 100. And let's see how many pages there actually are. Yep, so I just looked and I could see at least sort of 460, 470. Is that Dumbledore? And we're only just up to chapter 2. Again, coming back to this exercise, this is probably going to be one of the foundations of the book. I think for a lot of us, if we actually stuck to drawing these kind of exercises and spent more time doing them, we'd all become better artists much, much faster. But unfortunately, they're not always particularly fun compared to drawing other things, but that's the way you learn. But I really like the way that they're breaking all this anatomy down into the basic human structure, again focusing on the shapes, not overcomplicating it. I know there's some sections on like photo reference later on in the book as well. So yeah, there's just so much in here. As I say, I'm overwhelmed, but not in a bad way. I'm overwhelmed in, again, an excited way. So let's try and jump forward quite a bit, because this video's already getting pretty long. You can see I'm almost 200 pages in here, 180, not even close to halfway really. I think we've shown a lot of the sort of anatomy side of it. I don't know how much of the book is, based around this. I should probably have broke the contents down and translated it before previewing it, but yeah, I just wanted to get this one on camera straight away, wanted to get it open. As mentioned, I will put links to everything in the description box below, so I've already hopefully saved you guys a bit of research. So we're moving on to the hands here. For me though, when it came to actually buying this book, I was watching the videos, but the names didn't always translate very well for me searching on Google here in the UK. So I was struggling to find the book at first, and it took me a long time to be able to get hold of the ISBN for it. That did make things a bit easier, but one of the big places I found that actually did sell this book was, I think it was either Alibaba or AliExpress. I think it was AliExpress, don't quote me 100%. It had the book, and it had quite a lot of people selling it, quite a lot of big sellers on there, but the price ranged massively from, really cheap to really expensive. And whilst I was really tempted to get the cheaper ones, again, back to that exercise, awesome. I love this sort of rendering, it looks almost like a 3D model. But yeah, back to what I was saying. Some of the reviews gave it like 5 stars, but you never know whether they're legit. And then some reviews said this book is definitely a fake. So I was a little bit worried. So again, I'll put links to where I got mine from in the description box below. I'm hoping that mine isn't a fake. I guess I don't really know, because I don't have another copy to compare it to. The paper is a little bit thin, don't get me wrong. It doesn't look like the most expensive paper ever, but I don't think I actually spent that much on the book, especially when you consider the content and the sheer size of it. So it looks like we've moved from anatomy closer to movement and gesture, and that makes sense considering the title also included animation. But don't let that put you off if you're not an animator. I'm not an animator. A lot of the training, the practice for illustration, there is a lot of overlap. But yeah, I think it's just slightly that the name doesn't translate well. I do think this book looks suitable for all artists. This page is really cool as well. I'm always really interested in seeing when they've got stylized pieces like this. I always am curious like what the reference was they used and how they turned the reference from, again, photos, realism into these stylized characters, so I'm really intrigued by that. And apologies, I am waffling on a lot. I don't know if you guys are actually interested in hearing me think out loud, but you can see that there is just so much content in this book, and it just looks like it's really well done. So I would be really interested in hearing your guys' thoughts. Looks like we're moving on to lighting, another fundamental that's really difficult in my opinion, but really well laid out using this 3D model again. I'm calling it a basic 3D model because of the shapes, but it still looks really effective, even at a basic level made out of these blocky shapes. And I think this is also going to help with stylization. And as mentioned earlier, I think if you actually spent a lot of time studying this book, I think it would be very difficult not to come away with a lot of new skills. Yeah, So let's skip through these pages a little bit faster now, because we're almost 400 pages in. This video is probably super long depending on how much I cut out. And it's not just black and white, by the way. It is a full colour print. As mentioned, the paper's not the thickest, but it does the job, and it's still, the print quality seems good. Again, I hate to even think how much of the book I'm skipping. I can't really show all 450, 500 pages on camera. But if you are interested in buying it, hopefully this is giving you some idea of what's included. I believe the author or the artist that created this book actually has online courses as well, but I struggle to find them here in the UK, and obviously I wouldn't understand them anyway. But yeah, in case you can speak Chinese, maybe that's an option for you as well. But all the information that I'm seeing in here just looks really useful. So yeah, again, working with reference, turning it into 3D models. And I believe that these are illustrations and not 3D models, which kind of blew me away the first time I saw previews of this. Okay guys, so that's the main book. Now let's take a look at the workbook. Okay guys, so this one is a little bit, well, a little bit thinner, a lot thinner. Still an alright amount of pages, especially when you add them both together. From me having a quick glance before putting this on camera, I would say that the layout of this is like the exercises on the left, and then I'm guessing you're supposed to translate this over on the right. But again, I might be being a little bit stupid there. But yeah, there's some really cool stuff in the workbook as well. I don't know how closely it's linked with the main book in terms of, you know, maybe some chapters tell you to have a go in the workbook, but either way, it's got really good examples again of this 3D motion, putting items in boxes, moving the boxes around. We've got some mannequins coming up, things like that. Again, they look like 3D models, but I think they're actually illustrations, but maybe they're not, don't quote me. But that's pretty much it, guys. A couple more pages left, but I hope you found the video useful. If you did, make sure you subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out a lot. And of course, let me know what other videos you guys want to see next. Thanks so much for watching, everyone.